Alright guys, Damian here with your daily dose of Damian number 4. So today we talk about nutrition part 2, right? So it's only appropriate to have another snack for Lola here. So you might see her in the corner over here. She's waiting desperately for her snack. So, come here. Sit. Sit. There you go. So you don't even have to ask her. Perfect. So, today the two things we're talking about are foods, avoiding foods that cause inflammation and having foods that have antioxidants, and also making sure that we understand intermittent fasting and why we do it. So first thing, talking about avoiding foods that we avoid inflammation, right? So a lot of times we talk about gluten, dairy, all that stuff. What does that really mean? Why does it cause anything? Part of that is that not necessarily just gluten and dairy, but also like trans fat, saturated fat. So let's say bacon, pastries, all that fun stuff. All that stuff causes inflammation. And the reason it does that is because what happens is those free radicals in our body have to get released because our body registers that food almost as poison. And unfortunately, because our body registers that poison, our free radicals are then released, which then leads to inflammation. That inflammation that makes us feel off. We either feel lethargic, we feel tight, always sense of stiffness, or my favorite, raccoon eyes, which I always talk about, which is right under here where you can always tell. Now, obviously inflammation is a bad thing in these regards, but in reality, inflammation is a good thing. We want inflammation. It means that we're helping our body recover. It means that we're fixing stuff. Our body's inflamed because we want to make sure that we are, our cells and our tissue is actually recovered, right? So, in this regards though, if we have inflammation because we're eating something that we shouldn't, that's actually not a good thing, right? That means basically our body thinks that it needs to promote some antibodies or something to help it when it's just eating something. So it almost thinks that your body's being sick or poisoned, but in reality, it's not. It's just eating. So what happens then is if you get sick or you get a cold or something, your immune system's already compromised. It's a little bit off, right? So what do we do to strengthen that a little bit? I'm not saying necessarily stay away from all these foods like it has to disappear. Sorry. But I'm definitely saying that we want to limit them as well as also increase our antioxidants. So antioxidants, what they do is they help kill these free radicals before they enter our body. Now, what are some of these antioxidants that we're talking about? Beta-carotene, vitamin C, vitamin E. In the email, I have a list of these. These are very important. What happens is that these are going to kill all of these free radicals so that our inflammation doesn't happen and then our immune system does not get compromised and it does what it has to do. So inadvertently, it strengthens our immune system. And that's what we want, especially in times like this where we need an immune system working strongly. We want to make sure that we're eating things to help that as well. So, next point, intermittent fasting, one of my favorite things. I used to not really think that much about it until recently and realizing that part of the email I write that some people might not realize they're doing it naturally. I do it a little bit naturally. I don't like to eat in the morning and I happen to just find myself eating more in the afternoon or at night. So all I did is shift my schedule, right? Instead of eating at 11 or 12, I just try to wait till 2 and then I eat till 10. And so 2 to 10 for me personally, that's my window. Now, a lot of us can't do that because we should be in bed by 10 and we need time to digest. But for my schedule, that works for me, right? So everyone's a little bit different, but it's more about finding your own routine. Now, for somebody who's lean and who works out early in the morning, who works on small meals, who feels like they're always hungry, you probably should not intermittent fast. It probably won't be the best for you. But for somebody who's running on the go, for somebody who can't eat in the morning, for somebody who wants to maybe lose a little body fat, it would be probably a little more beneficial for you to try intermittent fasting. Now, like we said in the email, there's 3 different kinds. We're talking about a trial fast where you're just kind of trying to give it a shot for one day and see how you feel and try to develop like your own sense for your hunger patterns and what you want to eat. Then we have your periodic fast where you kind of choose times where you fast, right? Like it might be once a week, once a month, whatever, no more than once a week though. But right there, that'll help you achieve an overall caloric deficit. Now, the one I was talking about earlier that I do is the daily fast, which is basically 16-8. 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. So for me, 2 to 10, whatever it is, 12 to 8, whatever you find, in that time you can eat. But the rest of the day, you're fasting. Now the theory is that in that time that you're eating, you're eating less than you normally would, just because that's what's going to happen. You won't be able to eat as much. Your appetite's going to shrink a little bit, so we're going to adjust. Within that, you're going to be in a caloric deficit. And what happens in a caloric deficit? We lose weight or we lose body fat, which is kind of the goal for some of us, right? So that's why this might be a good time to try intermittent fasting, because we're not doing too much and we can maybe control our appetite a little bit more and try to figure out if we're actually hungry, if it was just ritual, you know? And don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not saying don't feed into your hunger, because if you are hungry and you don't normally intermittent fast, I would say maybe it's not meant for you. But if you can go a good amount of time and not feel like you're dying, it's maybe something you want to get into. So that's it on nutrition for today. Next time we're going to be talking about stretching and movement and mobility and lower back and all this posture stuff. Really good stuff, because I know a lot of you guys have talked to me about any lower back issues or hip stuff that might be bothering you. So this is a good stuff that you can add into your repertoire if you will. Thanks again. Happy Monday.